So, in this with this background, which I just discussed, it was more theoretical in nature and more philosophical in nature. We have some practical action which is happening after World War II. We have been the beneficiary of the different organizations, which is also called Bretton Woods organizations, because after World War II, in a place called Bretton Woods, these organizations were formed, which is the United Nations and IMF and World and the World Bank. And at that time, it was envisaged that we should have something called ITO, International Trade Organization, which actually could not happen due to certain political controversies. And finally, instead of ITO, we got something called World Trade Organization, which was established in 1995. As a precursor for this was the General Agreement on Trade and Tariff, which was supposed to be for 1 year, but it languished over the international trade for almost more than 45 years. So finally, we got the so-called World Trade Organization, and you can see from this slide that this word cloud indicates that the impact of World Trade Organization has been definitely the biggest on the global trade. And if the international theories which I discussed about the Michael Porter's diamond model and the comparative advantage and the other factors, if global trade is impacted in a positive way, it is assumed that it has a positive impact on the life of the people and the international economy, and which is shown from the business, world globe, finance, distribution, growth, money, and so many shipping, transportation. So we have seen a lot of achievements which we have got in terms of technology of transportation, that the prices per unit has definitely reduced over the time. So the world has become more interdependent, and this all this has happened to some extent during the GATT years, but to a very big extent in the World Trade Organization's years. So India and China is one of the major beneficiary of the establishment of World Trade Organization in 1995. Although this link is contestable, but this is a lot of research papers says that India and China are one of the biggest beneficiaries of this organization. So again, the establishment of World Trade Organizations was based on these ideas behind international economics, which says that the so-called diamond models, multi-diamond models, and people cooperate, free trade, free movement of people, and it will benefit the world politically as well as economically. So this is the background about the World Trade Organization and its impact on the international economy. So this was my idea of this slide. Now, if we look at the data, if we look at the achievement of the World Trade Organization, if you look at this particular graph, if you look at from 2001 to 2013, if you look at this, so you see in this graph that there is a blue line and there is a so-called, you can say the brown line or the red line, and you can see this blue line indicates the growth of GDP, world GDP, during the year 2001 to 2013, and this red line indicates the growth of trade during 2001 to 13, and you can see that the pace of growth of trade is very much visibly better than the growth of GDP. So WTO says that it is the achievement of the World Trade Organization, and it is the result of the so-called free trade and the rules of the games, rules of the trade. Because of the rules of the trade, which is controlled or regulated by the WTO system, it is claimed that we are getting the benefit of the better trade to a given GDP growth rate. So you can see here, this graph is a very important graph which indicates that the world is benefited from better trade growth over the GDP growth. So this is the slide which talks about this. Now, another question which is asked for a very long time is that the WTO, World Trade Organization, globalization, trading blocks, and its impact on international economy should be judged from the actual life of the people, the economic life of the people, and that is in the terms of the employment generation. So it was always contested that as we have better free trade agreements, more globalization, it was assumed that the unemployment rate had a relationship with this so-called growth of trading cooperation or the regional economic cooperation or the world economic cooperation in terms of WTO. Since 1990 till until 1990, it was observed that due to the growth of the free trade agreement and economic cooperation, there was a very much visible linkage of the increasing unemployment rate till 1990. But after 1990, it is shown that when and especially after WTO has been established, the rules of games have become better. And this study is based on 23 countries, which includes Australia, Austria, Belgium, Canada, Denmark, Finland, and all the big countries. It includes. And the study says that after 1990, and especially after the establishment of World Trade Organization, the relationship between the percentage of growth of GDP, which is the result of the free trade regulated by WTO and trading blocks. There is no relationship between the growth of unemployment rate and the GDP growth. So it means that that question has been settled after the establishment of World Trade Organization, that the unemployment rate is not related to the globalization. Rather, it is maintained. Rather, it is maintained. Unemployment rate is maintained, which is the result of the globalization, which generates employment. So this is these are the evidences which are given when we talk of the economic impact of these ideologies, and especially this organization, World Trade Organization, and the increasing number of trading blocks. Okay, so another data which is shown in this slide, you can see here again between 2012 to 2020, there looks to be a very clear relationship between the fluctuation of the trade growth and the investment growth. You can see here. So it is a if you look at the trade growth from 0 to 5%, if you look at and you plot in these years the trade growth rate and the investment, you will see that there is a direct relationship, which means that the investments, international investments, are directly related to the trade, which means the investment growth is directly related to the trade growth. So if there is more trade growth, investment will be more, and if the investment will be more, definitely the international economy and the benefit will accrue to the people of this world in terms of employment, in terms of their income levels and their living standards. So it is assumed that more investment will drive more employment and better condition for the people of this world. So this has been argued in this